For the penultimate race of Season 5, Avondale, Arizona is the host of the ABN Champ Car World Series. Welcome to the Phoenix Raceway for 140 laps of high-speed action. This is the ABN Phoenix 225 kilometer. If you're new here on ABN Esports, I'm David Kreutz, joined today by Olivia Hayward and Taylor Mills, and we're looking forward to some fun action in the sunlight. Got a little bit of sunlight left here. It looks like it's going to be a little less as the night goes on. However, Phoenix Raceway, regardless of condition, never disappoints. When it comes to open wheel racing, you don't see it all too often in the real world any longer, but here with the Champ Car World Series, we're bringing Phoenix back to life with speeds of over 190 miles an hour. 2 races to go in the campaign today, and it's going to be Indianapolis 2 weeks from now. With that being said, practice on the move. 3 minutes and 30 seconds remain. Right now, Lily Fraser, the fastest driver on the board with 18 registered, and drivers still taking extra practice laps to settle in for all of tonight's event. With that being said, of course, drivers on the circuit already. We're gearing up for qualifying and our main event. It's a shorter circuit than what we've seen as of recent, back down to the 1 mile length, but unlike any other with its very, very unique orientation. We talked about the track layouts before the race began and this broadcast began. There's a lot of differences, shall we say, to even how Phoenix used to be. It's a very special challenge for the drivers here, and if you're in that title fight, you have to perform tonight.
Yeah, Phoenix maybe the most unique oval on the circuit as of late. You've got, maybe 10 degrees of banking through the sweepers of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, but you've got that dog leg as well, just an extra little challenge for these drivers to navigate just after the start-finish line. We'll note we are not running by NASCAR rules, we are running traditional Champ Car on this, and you are not allowed to go below that yellow line onto that dog leg like the stock cars like to hop down to. So maybe a little different from what you're seeing from this track on iRacing, but it's going to be a great challenge for these drivers, and we're expecting the sun to set maybe 10-15 minutes into the race here, so not only will the track itself and the layout be a challenge for these drivers, they'll also have to adapt to how the conditions move throughout the event. And yeah, I mean, what a way to send off the sort of the main leg of the season, heading towards that double points championship finale at Indianapolis. A full 500 kilometers put forward to in 2 weeks.
Yeah, as you've already alluded to, Olivia, adaptability is going to be absolutely key out here on track tonight as the track conditions change and as cars' position in dirty air changes. It's going to be whoever can hunt for that clean air all the way tonight, and a big focus on who can use their tools, the anti-roll bars, weight jackers, effectively without burning up that right rear too much, because of course if you use the weight jacker too aggressively, you're going to set that right rear tire alight all the way through this race. And keeping the tires alive going to be a huge part of the race tonight, because you want to be running as consistently as you can, which is pretty normal for any sort of racetrack, but especially important tonight. Out on track, we already have seen a few of our championship contenders. Lilac Zia currently sat second fastest, and Austin Farr currently down in 9th. Someone who's been a challenger for race wins all the way throughout this championship so far, but hasn't really been able to mount any sort of championship charge. Hamza Nakabuzi returns tonight, currently rolling around in 12th place and a late entry to this one. It's going to be interesting to see what he can do. As always, we expect some rapid speed and at least a decent result from him, but with a mixed up field and a lot of hungry drivers out there, let's see if someone else can take that top spot tonight, as we watch Alex Martin having a huge crash on the way down to the start finish line.
Yeah, Akibusi, one of our part-time drivers here, only making 5 starts so far this season, but converting that into 2 race wins, as well as a fantastic second place battling with one of our championship hopefuls, Austin Farr. So as we go into qualifying here, we'll have to see if one of those two can take the pole position to start on a solid note, or whether it'll be one of our other drivers, notably not in the session yet is our current championship leader, Emily Howe. She does have a habit sometimes of hopping into session late and sort of rolling with the punches in the early running, but only has this 10-minute qualifying session to hop in, or otherwise Austin Farr and Lilac Zare have a chance to take a sort of a stranglehold on the championship heading towards Indianapolis.
Penultimate qualifying session of the season now on the way, and when we mentioned Indianapolis, that is just about the most important race on the schedule, but you don't want to miss tonight either, so hopefully we get Emily in this session sometime soon, as we're now looking forward to what is next. 4 laps of qualifying for every driver here, and quick when it comes down to the way these drivers are coming across the circuit. The average lap seems to be coming in at about 20 seconds at the absolute most. Fastest time in this session right now goes to Martin Roberg, and Roberg up top with an 18.985, so he's up there, top of the charts, and breaking past the 19-second barrier. Already looking at some very quick times for drivers who we didn't see the best speed out of in practice, so goes to wonder, what are our top drivers week in, week out set to do? Lily Fraser goes up to the top with an 18.95, so another very commendable effort there. I think we're only going to see quicker and quicker as the laps come down and in. Currently, 5 drivers have taken a time, and about 10 of which are on the track.
As always, time's coming in thick and fast. All these drivers in a solo qualifying session with no one else out on track with them. As always, we've got those 2 different strategies for qualifying out there. You've got the drivers that like to go out there early and get their lap times in so they don't have to worry about it for the rest of the session, as Mo Perry jumps up to second fastest so far with that 18.957. And then you've got the drivers that like to leave it really late in the session to go out. Let a little bit of heat soak into the engine, get that up to the optimal temperature to make sure it's producing exactly the right amount of power. And then you also know exactly how much you need to push. These drivers are going to know exactly how fast they're going to be capable of going around this track. And then the relative extra percentages they need to push to get whatever lap time they might need. And they can get a better judgment of exactly where that line is once everyone's lap times has been set, as championship contender Lilac Zare jumps to the top of the standings with a 118, an 18.875. Of 118 to be quite concerning. I don't think we'll be quite on pace for pole position tonight.
Another thing I've just had a thought. You sometimes see these drivers like to go out late, sit in the pit lane for a bit, get a bit of heat into the engine, just let it soak and get the car into the optimal window. But as we run close to sunset, sort of into this twilight, into this sort of golden hour here, the temperature is set to drop pretty consistently over the next hour or two. So if you leave it a couple of minutes in this session, you might just find that little extra click of grip on the surface as the heat starts to radiate out away from the asphalt. We could see some times late in this qualifying session start to ramp up in speed, but of course it all depends on who the driver is behind the wheel. Currently on board with Zach McBride, who is jumping up to 12th place, but only after lap 1. We'll have to see lap 2 be one of the quickest laps for qualifying here, but that's more of an intermediate track trend. We'll see if it holds at the very fast short track of Phoenix as he comes through turns 3 and 4 here, and that might be delayed, sorry, but that is up to 6th place now and maybe ramping up a little bit. Austin Farr has gone and jumped onto the front row of the grid, can't quite overhaul Lilac Zare.
And that's all his laps as well.
Yeah.
Not just that, that's all his laps. Lilac Zare is looking set to take pole position here, but we haven't yet seen a lap time from the ultra competitive Hamilton Akabusi. And of course, the driver you're looking at right now, Craig Forsyth, who managed to take pole position last week and still finish P2. Really consistent run towards the end of this season for him with 2 second place finishes in a row. Still waiting for Craig Forsyth to settle up, so I'll be looking forward to see what he can do tonight.
And I'll note he's out on pit lane, and if you listen closely, you can hear that engine whirring. he wants to try and nail this lap. He is currently 4th in the championship, just sort of holding on within that one race window, especially with Indy being double points. If you can be within 80 going into that race, you have a shot. And I think Trade Forsyth wants to leave nothing to chance, wants to put his absolute best forward tonight to put himself as close as possible heading into the Arrowhead 500 to make some magic happen, maybe.
Yeah, 4 drop rounds in this championship as well, but Indianapolis, of course, being undroppable from this championship, David.
Right now, Forsyth, one of 2 drivers on the track. Lily Peltier Sharp done with the number 18's run. That's going to be 11th for Lily as it stands, and we're waiting to see what can Craig Forsyth do. Take a look on board, and you are going to hear that engine is on, and it's being pressed up to 12,000 revs a minute, so trying to get some heat up in the engine before going. Looks like Craig's now on the way, and we've got ourselves an exciting qualifying run to watch. Josh Tucker, Hamilton Akabwezi, and Bryce Socia, drivers who have decided to not go on track so far, still with a chance. 3 minutes and 30 seconds remaining when Craig will come across the line.
And Akabwezi actually giving up his qualifying attempts here, choosing to start from the tail end of the field. So that's probably good news for Zir and Far, some championship contenders who are, at least in the early runnings, going to have the battle to themselves. But I'm sure the 7 will make his way through as the race progresses. Here comes Trade Forsyth, coming to the end of lap number 1. We're not expecting it to be set the world on fire, but it is good enough for P14. It's this lap 2 where I think things are going to wind up a lot. Let's see. Coming again out of turn 2 and then swinging down through 3 and 4, carrying as much speed as possible up to the start-finish line. 18.884, and that is the front row. He still has 2 more laps to try and improve that, but that knocks Austin Farr down to the second row of the grid behind Lilac Zir. And suddenly, there's 3 contenders here who are all looking to make a statement in the championship.
Forsyth's last 2 laps were just about identical, down to the 1,000th of a second, just 1 difference. That last 1,000th place went up by 1 on the previous lap, and it looks like Craig, he's done with his run. Still a very commendable effort. He's good for 2nd now, and Craig Forsyth slowing it down for a 23-second final lap. Forsyth up to 2nd, Lily Peltier Sharp, the only driver on the track, and now we're waiting for 3 drivers who we're expecting to see some very competitive runs out of. Bryce Socia, Josh Tucker, and of course, Hamilton's number 7, the car everyone's looking out for in this event. 2 wins already in a very brief part-time campaign. Is it a chance to go for number 3 tonight? That remains to be seen, but with about 90 seconds left, qualifying has come to just a bit of a standstill.
And once again, no sign of the number 83 machine. It looks like Emily Howe could lose the championship lead tonight on an absence, her 2nd in a row. And I mean, it's a pack of wolves at her heels who all want to try and take that step for themselves. Lilac Zir, Trade Forsyth, Austin Farr, 2, 3, and 4 lined up in a different order, 1, 2, and 3 on our grid for tonight's event. And it remains to be seen, because we're expecting the conditions to change a lot as this race goes on, and the quali pace might not translate into race pace, but for the time being, this is looking like it to be a very, very exciting battle for that top step of the podium and that final charge before we head next week into qualifying for the Arrowhead 500.
We've seen a pretty explosive end to the season for your current provisional pole sitter, Lilac Zir, with 2 third places in a row. She's been the driver that's been able to jump on that alternate strategy. Actually, no, it was a 2nd place last week, wasn't it, from Lilac Zir? But she's been able to pick up all those late podiums in this championship and use those alternate strategies to get herself in a really good position late on in the race to really take advantage on where others have faltered to mount this championship charge. And with some really smart strategy decisions and some really hard, good, fair racing, has not only put herself on pole position for the Phoenix 225, but puts herself in a really good shot to contest for that championship lead here tonight, with Austin Farr starting on the row behind.
And if I can just whisper in for a sec, fuel window for tonight expected to be 42 to 50 laps. Our race distance 140. That means the race is a 2-stop, but it will require a little bit of fuel save. And if there's one thing the 89 car loves, it's the chance at a fuel save. So we'll see how she handles that, how the rest of the field handles that, and of course, any cautions that could offset the strategy and throw everyone through a loop. But for the time being, it's an exciting prospect for Lilac.
So perhaps the 89's alternate strategy going to play out pretty well tonight here in Avondale. That remains to be seen. But when we talk about consistency, take a look at your front row. These two drivers have been on their A game as of recent. Pole sitter Lilac Zier going to be up in front with an 18.875 and just a few thousandths back. 9 thousandths to be exact. It's Craig Forsyth finding himself there in second. Third spot is going to go immediately after to Austin Farr. Farr with a very strong shot to maybe get up there in the championship lead tonight with Emily Howe's absence. And Frankie Wim, the rookie, coming on strong as of late from Long Beach on fourth for the number 16. Fifth place is going to be given here to Lily Fraser and Mo Perry, who's been much quicker with qualifying as of recent. Sixth tonight. Seventh spot is then going to go to Zach McBride. Bruce Silva going to be eighth, and to round out the top 10, Pacey Wygent, the 00, is going to be in ninth. Martin Roberg rounds out the top 10 with an 18.983.
With last week's winner, Lily Pelletier-Sharp on the outside, Carmen Sienna and Sophie Connell 96 and 69, lining up on row 7 for tonight's event. Bobby Blowers and Alex Miller will make up row number 8. Blake Henderson and Howard Natty-Busey looking to make a charge here from 18th on the grid, with Josh Tucker and Bryce Socia, who may be making a traditional pit lane start there at the back of the field. Josh Tucker lined up in 19th place on our grid. And that will round out our field for tonight's race at Phoenix.
Just quickly, Bryce Saucier looking to be a non-starter tonight here in Phoenix, so it will just be the 19 cars you see in front of you taking the green flag tonight.
Do we have any time for predictions here? Start with you, Taylor.
Oh, you know what? Off the top of my head, I'm going to go with Lilac. I'm rooting for Lilac. Go Ford, go. Go get that win.
David?
I feel like tonight, I'm looking at the rookies. So if we're talking about drivers who have come in strong, I got to feel maybe we're going to see something from Josh Tucker back there. Quick in practice, didn't get a time in qualifying, and I'm interested to see what its 44 can do. Seen him race before, very quick, especially when it comes to these champ car style events, and I think he returned to some pretty strong form with a very formidable competition. And of course, Olivia, to round it out, who you taking?
I mean, Taylor took a very strong pick. I'm a little bit jealous, but I'm going to back the 52 car Austin Farr, starting row 2, but has been awfully consistent and just great at pressure people into mistakes. I don't know if this front row can be easily forced into a major mistake, but I think he's got that consistency to maybe get this done and take the championship lead tonight.
Big-time championship implications here in the Sun Valley. Lilac Zier, Craig Forsyth here front row, and the 89 gets the jump right by the cactus green flag. Welcome to Phoenix Raceway. We're green in the Phoenix 225.
Austin Farr then wanting to challenge for that lead nice and early, right around the outside of Lilac Zier into turns 1 and 2, and then challenging on the inside of turns 3 and 4 and taking that lead. Lilac Zier being dropped down into P2, having to hang on the outside line, trying to get a bit of a run on the outside there. They are side by side on the run down the old start-finish straight as they head back down into turns 3 and 4 to take another lap.
They are side by side a long way down the field, but at the front here, it's still lockstep for Lilac Zero and Austin Farr. Neither driver wants to give this up at the start of the race. I don't think the 89's fuel saving just yet, and Lilac Zero clears coming out of turn 2, and Austin Farr will have to mount another charge coming up. Lilac Zero leads another lap here.
A really disappointing start for Craig Forsyth, just not quite able to get the jump that he wanted relative to the rest of the field. Dropped down to P5 really early, but was very quickly
Trouble on the
able
back. Sophie Connell found her way into the wall, and it looks like the 69's night could be over early. And we already have our first incident. Looks like they'll bring it off the track and will stay green. But looking back at this replay, coming into turn 3, and that looks like netcode. That is such a high-speed track, such close quarters, and we've seen a bit too much of that lately. It takes out Sophie Connell very early in this race. Looks like every other car is rolling. Meanwhile, back at the front of the field, Austin Farr with the fastest lap of the race, trying to make another charge at Lilac Zero. But the 89 holding firm right now will lead lap number 6. But we've got a long way to go here in the desert, and as the sun sets, we're going to see things change a bit. But right now, Austin Farr seems to be holding well back, with Frankie Wynn doing a good job holding off Craig Forsyth after a bit of a sluggish start from the 27.
Frankie Wynn, of course, who we saw take the 3rd spot on the podium at Long Beach only a few weeks ago, as Craig Forsyth making a move down the inside to try and take that final podium spot. For now, Frankie Wynn going to give it up with a little bit of a gap to slot into on the inside. If they want it, they do. Craig Forsyth then up into P3 as Austin Farr takes the lead from Lilac Zero.
So Austin Farr gets to jump up in front, and we're 9 laps in. Gotta wonder, do these first 9 or 10 laps really indicate who goes where in our running order? Because we're gonna have to worry about that or rather the fuel saving. The tires come in play too. It will get warm, but the track temperature decreasing. Sun is setting, fuel, that's the emphasis. And right now, I think the big decision is going to come down to whether or not Austin Farr and Lilac Zero are going to stay together for any longer. As it stands, you see them running first and second here. Gap is going to be at a quarter of a second, and Lilac finding a little bit more room to lie back and maybe fuel save. That might be the way to go right now for the driver, the number 89. Lilac Zero making do in second. Craig Forsyth gets up the 3rd, so disappointing start as you mentioned. Of course, now making a way through into the podium. Frankie Wynn slots back into 4th, and it's mostly a single file procedure, save for, of course, Sophie Connell, and now looks like a bit of a battle in the back. Blake Henderson and Lily Fraser going down to the inside once more. There's Lily looking low, and it's going to be Blake Henderson getting just by for 17th. Overall, most drivers going to be spread out at least a little bit. Alex Martin now going to keep it tight with Carmen Sienna and Josh Tucker there too. Tucker going down to the inside. This is the fight for 14th, and the mid-pack just about the closest bunch on the racing circuit.
Yeah, Josh Tucker, of course, starting down in 19th in today's race. Has already dispatched of 4 drivers relatively easy, but Carmen Sienna proving to be a bit of a roadblock for Josh Tucker so far here tonight. She's been able to match all of his moves into every single corner and keep him pinned right down on that inside. Carmen Sienna taking advantage of all of that progressive banking on the outside of turns 3 and 4 to just carry the speed off the corner and make sure Tucker can't make anything work. Who, of course, we did watch challenge for the lead during the Platinum Endurance Championship 12 Hours of Sebring, but looking to make an impact tonight in machinery he's much more comfortable in.
Any guesses on who's the biggest mover so far in this race? That's right, it's Hamilton Busey, up 11 positions already. Didn't set a qualifying time, started 18th, now up to 7th, and with the current fastest lap of the race. We will see that improve as the sun sets, but Busey already making some big moves now on the back of Mo Perry, trying to find a way around. And Pacey Wyden also very close to get into the top 5, and we could see this 7 car making a challenge at all leaders before too long in this one. This is like a tricky fight though. Been struggling to get around Mo Perry, and actually looks like Pacey Wyden's going to be the one to fall off here. Still up 2 spots from where he started, but just getting the worst of that battle and decides not to contest this against Hamilton. That's now 12 positions gained, and he can focus fully on getting past this 28 car and onto the back of the top 4, who are still bunched up within about a second and a half. of the race lead.
Nobody does it quite like Hamilton when it comes to making those passes, getting the jump up in a sixth already, and maybe a prospect of a shorter first stint to catch up and make that time. Gap right now to leader, 3.5 seconds. That's Austin Farr, the driver at the top of the board. Right now, Lyle Zier, 3/10 back in second. Craig Forsyth is 5/10 back to your leader in third. So leading bundle of the tightest. Hamilton making more gains than anyone else and currently has that fastest lap in the entire race session. And that time by was 1/10 of a second faster than Austin Farr. So no doubt Hamilton's got it and has a really good chance to perhaps go from the back to the front in this race. 20 laps in already, so we're looking at about the 1/3 mark of our entire first stint. And I think right now, drivers like Lyle Zier, Craig Forsyth starting to take that fuel save into account. Something that's going to be crucial, especially for our first 100 laps, as Josh Tucker is going to fall down and in with damage, and the caution is going to fly. It looks like we've got trouble, and it's going to be Josh Tucker.
A bit of a hornet's nest going there just outside of the top 10. 2x2x2. And we see on the replay a little bit of a slide there. 3 wide, and that's another instance of netcode.
Yeah, it certainly looked like it. Thanks to the ABN time zone for giving us a good view of that one. A nice little bit of slow motion replay as that incident just unfolds. But yeah, another unfortunate bit of netcode there to take Josh Tucker almost completely out of the race on his debut, as all of the cars coming down pit lane except for Zach McBride.
Tucker was involved with the previous netcode incident, so there might be a bit of a pattern there regarding connection troubles, and this time it's going to do him in. Tucker 2 laps down as we speak, and pit road, it is busy. Farr, Lyle Zier, Zach McBride all coming together, and with that incident, it was even further away than it was for Sophie Connell. That was several feet, if not maybe 10 or 15, and with enough room to make that move work. Looks like on the driver's side, not quite. So now we await our first big run down at the pit road. Austin Farr and company going to be taking a move down and in. It's a new rule that's being strictly enforced for this week and the next. 3 pit stalls that you're allowed to drive right through, and that is it. You might see similar rules in other racing leagues. Of course, you can't drive through other people in real life, but that's going to be something done to enforce fair competition down on pit road, and you're seeing drivers a little more cautious tonight. That might be playing a part as right now Austin Farr side by side off the line.
I think your cameras might be suffering from a bit of time dilation here.
Well, now we're trying to pull it all the way up live. Is this right? It looks like it is.
Yeah, so that is correct. Austin Farr won the fight off pit lane. Brilliant pit stop from the crew, the number 52 there, to maintain the overall net lead. Zach McBride and the number 47 just looking to try and get some laps lead points. But I suspect Austin Farr and Lyle Zier and the rest of the field behind are going to be pretty quick to dispatch of him once we go green again here.
So updates on the casualties from that wreck. Of course, Josh Tucker spun in that one and taking heavy damage lightly out of this race. Alex Miller, who was on the low side and took a little bit of contact, managed to escape mostly unscathed. The same cannot be said of Carmen Sienna, who was coming in from behind and just caught the rear side of the 44 car. Carmen is still on pit lane, 1 lap down, and could be out of this race early after the second netcode incident of the race in just 20 laps. Also on pit road, notably, Lily Pelletier-Sharp and Lily Fraser decided to take fuel only in that stop. Stops to about 5 seconds as opposed to the 8 seconds required for tyres. And Frankie Wynn having some issues during that pit cycle. Couldn't quite find the bots, it seems, and lost a fair few spots, fallen to 15th place after running in 4th for that opening stanza. But up front, it's Zach McBride who's taken the lead on pit cycle here, opted to not come in for fuel and tyres under that first stop. We will see how that fares for the number 47 as we see the sun continue to set here in the desert. Zach McBride will lead the field around through 3 and 4 and towards the flagman to bring this race back going with 115 laps to go.
Zach McBride staying right up top by the wall. Austin Farr now going to be in second, and Zach opting to stay on the older rubber. Let's get going once again. Zach McBride brings us back to the green for your first restart of the night. Austin Farr already looking high. Lilac Zier already looking down low, and we might have ourselves a side-by-side fight for second before the drivers get away from Zach McBride here, as Lilac Zier going to get a little loose. Fade back to fourth quick. That gives Craig Forsyth the upper hand up to third.
That McBride a little bit uncertain on the defense there. A little bit of a weave, but Austin Farr managed to go low and get the spot. But Zach McBride fighting it back through turns 1 and 2 on the inside line. Farr looking for the crossover, and will just about get the nose in into 3 and 4. And might be able to make this move stick. Lilac Zier really got bottled up here and is now down to 4th position as Craig Forsyth attempts to dispatch the 47 car. But Lilac with a little bit of respite because behind is her teammate Olivia Sharp, who actually is getting swallowed by Akabusi, now up 13 spots into 5th place. And once they get past the old tire winner of Zach McBride, we'll be on the fringe of the podium. Lilac Zier now down on the low side, below Zach McBride. Can she complete the move here? Through turns 1 and 2, drifts up a little bit, can't seem to hold it on that low side, and actually is even just threat from Hamilton as they went side by side through 3 and 4, and I think Lilacs going to give it up here. Oh, that is into the wall for Zach McBride. And that was just sending it too deep, I think. No contact from what I could see. And that sends him down to 9th position, and it's now Lilac Zier and Akabusi fighting for the podium. Both leaving plenty of room, not wanting to anger the netcode gods here. But it looks like the number 7 car will be able to clear and will set his sights on the top 2 of Austin Farr and Craig Forsyth.
Don't speak too soon, Olivia, because here comes Lilac Zier, then back down the inside of Hamilton Akabusi into turns 3 and 4. Challenging for that, knowing that if Austin Farr gets away, he's going to be taking the championship lead here tonight. But Lilac still not giving up where she can, has dropped back a little bit on the run down to turns 1 and 2. And now getting a little bit caught up in Akabusi's dirty end, not able to find anything to clean to get over her front wing. That now setting her down into 4th place with Sharp 4/10 of a second back.
We really can't seem to make that low side work side by side, even against Zach McBride on the old tyres. She just can't seem to find the momentum to roll through the corner. I think if she wants to make attacks come in throughout this race, it'll have to be on the high side unless the nighttime brings her some more success. We did have Carmen Sienna roll out of pit lane, but unfortunately 9 laps down is just going to try and pick up some spots here from other retirements. But is in the pack and is I think doing her best to try and not be too much of a nuisance. There's probably still some lingering damage on that car. These cars, very difficult to repair in pit lane. But it's Frankie Wynn now, who had that disaster pit stop, now back up to 11th. And trying to dispatch a Carmen Sienna, but getting a bit of an awkward run through 1 and 2. Carmen won't fight. Will just happily sit behind here and kick the lower line as Frankie Wynn whips it up high. Your favourite, Taylor?
Gotta love a bit of ripping that high side. That line will come into effect a little bit more as that low side gets more and more rubbered in, and it's a little bit slippier, so expect to see a lot of drivers using that, especially on the hunt for clean air as the camera switched to following Pacey Wygent, who's been making a couple of moves so far on this restart. Getting past Bobby Blowers just a couple of laps ago. Cheeky dive to the inside, but then had to switch back to the outside as Mo Perry looking for a run on Lily Pelletier-Sharp. Goes down the inside, making that low line really work, but Pacey Wygent just getting caught up in the dirty air. You saw how that pushed the car right to the outside. Pelletier-Sharp though looking for a run back down the inside of turns 1 and 2. Not being able to get the momentum down on that low side. People really struggling to make that work here tonight. Pacey Wygent carrying the momentum through to move up to P6 and start to hound the back of Mo Perry, who's still got a good gap of about 2.7 seconds to the next car.
Yeah, the top 4 again with a bit of a breakaway, but look who it is in this lead pack. The number 7 has arrived, and a few laps ago set the fastest lap of the race, just a couple of thousandths outside of the 18s now, as the track is going to continue to get cooler. The sun is below the horizon, and you can see over the hills the dusk is falling, and under the lights, the number 7 car, bright and striking, is charging at Craig Forsyth and Austin Farr, but they're not giving it up yet, and it's still this 4-car pack of really champ car titans this season, who are all running away from the rest of the field while everyone else fights for the straps of the top 5.
Craig Forsyth then currently sat 2nd place, playing a bit of a spoiler to the potential for a brilliant scrap between two of the guys who've been going at it so hard this championship. Last seen fighting for the lead at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We've been waiting for Austin Farr and Hamilton Akabusi to get back on track together, but Craig Forsyth currently sat in his favourite 2nd place, just not allowing that to happen at the moment. But we seem to have settled down into a bit of a rhythm in this stint as our drivers just try to save a little bit of fuel, try and extend this fuel window to maintain that 2-stop. It's going to be a little bit trickier from this point, but think about the likes of Lilacs here, think about the likes of Hamilton Akabusi, Pelletier Sharp, Bobby Bowers, who've all been down in the pack in that draft, just not having to run so aggressively on the fuel mix, but still able to keep up the pace. As Hamilton Akabusi really starting to close that gap down to Craig Forsyth now, who's in that magical bit of dirty air window where it's where you really start to lose that grip, is about those 7-8 tenths or so back. If you can push through that, that's when you can start to catch the car ahead. But Hamilton Akabusi almost under his rear wing, just looking to make a move on Craig Forsyth to build that momentum in the slipstream as they come through the dogleg. He's just inching closer and closer, lap by lap. Nothing to choose between these two at the moment though, but Craig Forsyth really starting to drop off.
Down on pit road, Zach McBride out of fuel after staying out in that early stop. And this is something we're not really talked about. With that, everyone taking that top off, it's going to let them move up through. It's a very safe 2-stop here, but it's a very long pit lane, and you want to try and extend just to keep yourself safe from any potential cautions in the pit stop cycle. People struggling to get on and off pit road. And we see that McBride now 2 laps down with how long that pit road is. And not far off from about 3 laps down. The leader's only a few seconds back here. So that's the sign to the rest of the field. That is how important it is to time your pit stops right and to not get caught off guard. As Hamilton Akabusi right on the back of Craig Forsyth, and it's starting to become a bit of a battle here. Looking for the run, trying to force the 27 low, take the high side, and then pull a switch move. But it's not going to happen through 3 and 4 here. I'm thinking 1 and 2 might be the attack opportunity that the 7's looking for.
As we've seen so far this season, it's that short track samba as the car behind just tries to find the clean air and go on the line that the car in front isn't on. Hamilton Akabusi taking those late apexes to try and maximize his runs off the corner. But in those last couple of corners, Craig Forsyth just matching him perfectly to throw him all of the dirty air. Is it going to be high? Is it going to be low? This time it is practically the middle of the road for Craig Forsyth. Hamilton Akabusi choosing the high side that time, but still not quite able to build that run. The straight's not quite long enough to give him all the momentum in the slipstream that he wants to try and build. Austin Farr, though, really not getting away from these two at the moment, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens when these two actually start fighting. Both cars to the high side that time. No extra found grip for Hamilton Akabusi, maximizing his run off the corner as best as possible, but just not finding anything into 3 and 4 at the moment. Of course, those 2 corners are a little bit more wide open than turns 1 and 2 that tighten up significantly compared to those final 2 corners. The dogleg giving plenty of opportunity for you to hold it full throttle on corner exit as we watch Lily Fraser in a side-by-side fight right now.
Lily dropping down to the apron just to doubt the way the lead lap cars. I think the 13 has now gone 1 down, but is in the lucky dodge spot here. We do have that in Champ Car, but this pack for 7th and 8th place is very tight right now. Bobby Blowers and Lily Pelletier Sharp and Martin Robert really bottled up by Mo Perry. They're 2 by 2, and this is looking dangerous. There's a little bit of contact potentially on that high side. And we'll keep our eyes here with one eye on that battle for the podium, because this is looking incredibly dicey. And now Frankie wins here, trying not to get caught up in too much trouble. Again, had such a good start to the race, had a mistake on pit lane. They didn't have the tyres ready, and so now he's going to charge through, but look at what he's got to navigate ahead of him. This is an absolute nightmare if you're a fast car out of position. But it looks like the Lily Pelletier shop will clear. Does Mo Perry have an answer, or will he now start coming a threat from Bobby Blowers? They're stood out single file for now, but I can't imagine that'll last for too long here. Coming to finish lap 56, we are 40% of the way through this race, and they're racing like it's lap 3.
Mo Perry going to be taking up and down the track. You see now it's going to be Martin Roberg looking down on the inside line, and Perry, the big bottleneck, having a lot of trouble defending, as you can see, even 3 wide here, and that's going to be a double move for Frankie Wynn up to 10th. So it's very, very tight racing here outside of the leading pack, while the front 4 have gotten away once again. The story remains further back in the field, and right now, Frankie Wynn down to the bottom side here. He's got the Alexes right beside him, and up in front, it's going to be Alex Martin, Alex Miller right behind. So in a bit of an Alex sandwich right now for Frankie Wynn. He moved up into the top 10. Now the question is, what's next? Look further back and you're going to see Alex Miller now with Blake Henderson. Henderson finds himself just beyond the confines as Roberg is coming down to pit road after a 36-lap stint. So it looks like for Martin, he'll come in just a bit early here, and we'll see what the game plan is from here on out. Martin Roberg in the 41 down at pit road. In addition, Alex Martin coming around here with Mo Perry, and they're going to be side by side. Perry up top, still trying to find a way around him. Perry, great defensive driver so far, but I'm sure the field behind him not happy in the slightest.
Yeah,
Sorry, David, I do have to very quickly call this out because I have to every single time it happens. We were looking at a Frankie sandwich with Alex bread. You do not name a sandwich after the bread, you name it after the filling.
It was an unscheduled stop for the 41 by the sound of things. Contact on a miscommunication of lanes with Mo Perry. A little bit of chatter on the radio about it, but that is why 41 came away. Did a wind change on a one stop there, as Mo Perry continues to be a bit of a cork in the bottle here. But Frankie Wynn has finally gotten through this pack. Alex Martin finding the wall a little bit there. But this is going to be a delight for the number 16 car, who can finally set his sights forward and try and get back up to the field. 12 seconds off the lead now. That's well over half a lap. Mo Perry down to 9th with still Alex Martin, Blake Henderson, Alex Miller behind, and Bruce Silver, and Commentator lurking there as a lap car as well.
Lots of aggression from Blake Henderson, just trying to find a way through on these cars behind, but he does get alongside and passes Mo Perry on the run down to turns 3 and 4, making that move work and stick. Mo Perry dropping like a stone at the moment, has been passed by 3 cars this lap so far.
Hamilton in, and it looks like Martin Roberg came out of pit lane right in that fight for second place between Craig Forsyth and Hamilton Tabusi. Henderson in the wall, but Hamilton going for the undercut. And it just looks like a bit too much speed through 3 and 4. We'll stay green, and that's what Hamilton wants to hear. Just a caution now could have spelled disaster. He needs this to stay green through the rest of the cycle, while Austin Farr, Trade Forsyth, Lilac Zip hits, and he'll be looking to make hay. And with hopefully some clean air, we'll have to see where he comes out on track, because traffic is becoming a major factor in this race. And as the laps tick on and the field spreads out even more, it's becoming even more of a factor.
Hamilton Akabusi coming out in some really, really nice clean air. No one in front, no one behind. It's going to be a race of the pit crews. Once again, just at different stages, as Craig Forsyth also comes in. Hamilton Akabusi coming round to get onto the lead lap now for the guys who were following for the net lead. So it should be in the next couple of corners that we see where he comes out relative to the cars that he was fighting. Craig Forsyth, the last of that leading pack to pit. So Hamilton Akabusi has passed Lilac Zia about 1.5 seconds and is only 7/10 less than that behind Austin Farr. Are we going to see another titanic fight like we saw at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, Austin Farr's got to get these tyres up to temperature for now. Kabuzi running on that nice
Great
hot
foresight
rubber.
off pit road here, and they both clear. Akrabrese with the perfect strategy call, and now side by side with Austin Farr, racing for the net lead of this race. We've got 4 cars still out, but they will cycle through it. It's these 2 cars, and this feels like the best case of deja vu right now. This is fantastic to see, but there's still some traffic ahead. There's still some cars who are off cycle that are racing side by side, and they'll have to navigate this very carefully because they do not want to throw away this race.
Oh, look at the speed differential between the 2 cars on fresh rubber as they fight to try and get through that almost lapping, that lap down traffic.
Those are the cars are on fresh rubber. That's just how fast these 2 are.
Akabuzi and Farr giving us the best show of the night so far, even though they're just following each other nose to tail. We're going to see that dance that they pulled off at all the other short tracks whilst they were fighting, as they tried to find clean air relative to each other and now relative to the traffic. This is when the oval race becomes a bit of a multi-class race, as the cars at the front of the field try to find their way through that slower traffic.
Pit cycle now complete. Trade Forsyth is cycling to 3rd, Lilac Zero into 4th. Pacey Wygen, Lily Pelletier Sharp, Bobby Blowers, Frankie Wynn, Alex Martin, Alex Miller, rounding out your top 10 out of pit lane, with Lily Pelletier Sharp in a tight battle here with Pacey Wygen for that 5th place position. It's the closest battle on track right now, with how Abusi settling into a rhythm behind Austin Farr, maybe thinking ahead away towards the next pit stop and trying to pull what he did on Trade Forsyth, but these 2 for 5th place are going back and forth for multiple laps now, and we have crossed the halfway point, and you can see we are very much tipped into the night. The conditions have been changing a lot, and the racing is becoming maybe even more intense as people are finding more grip in more lanes with colder track temp.
Pelletier Sharp then learning from earlier in this race that she cannot make that inside line work, fighting Pacey Wygen around the outside of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, throwing Dirty Air backwards perfectly as soon as she slides up in front and giving Wygen nowhere to go for the moment, but Wygen carrying a little bit more momentum down that back straight, starting to close that gap back up on Pelletier Sharp, and maybe going to try and make another move work here.
Rides on Martin Robert and Mo Perry here as well if we have time. Lilac Zir is looking to lap the 2 of them, but we know these cars have a bit of bad blood from that incident in the last stint, and it looks like Lilac Zir is just languishing behind, not able to find a way past these dueling cars who are racing for position, have a right to race for position, but that's not what the 89 want to see, is being slowed up significantly, and it's letting this top 3 run away right now. I know Lilac likes to fuel save, but this is not the way she wants to be doing it. As Akabrese, side by side with Austin Farr, let's cut back to the leader of the race here, had the nose ahead for a second, and now this battle has hit up into a new gear once again.
Yeah, we saw Hamilton Akabuzi going for a little bit of fuel saving behind Austin Farr just at the start of the stint. It looks like he's hit his fuel number now because he is on the attack. Leadpoor Racing driver having to hold off the Team i5G car as that pink and black and almost yellow car is trying to find a way through on the race lead.
Hey, it's May. i5G turn it up about 18 notches when it comes to May, and Hamilton wanted to get started early in the desert here. Now falling a little bit back off Austin Farr again, but we've seen that it can come very quickly as very close with a lap with Zach McBride. Sort of almost inch perfect from Austin Farr, but with how netcode has been earlier in the night, a big race, you can see how much this race lead means to Austin right now. This would put him very easily into the lead of the championship, and heading into Indianapolis, that is when the drop beats are locked in and everyone knows the state of play, and then there's 100 points for the win, and that's that. And we know how bad all these drivers want it. Austin Farr currently with a half-second lead now. How efficiently went through the traffic. Pacey White and Lily Pelletier Sharp still dueling here. This battle's going for about 10-15 laps at this point, the entire stint. Wygent gonna prevail for now, but we know there's going to be a fight back from the 18 car, who had a fantastic race last week at Milwaukee.
With a little bit of contact. That's just a little bit of diffuser to win contact between the two drivers there. Minimal, if no damage, but Wygen doing a fantastic job to pin Lily Pelletier-Sharp to the inside of turns 1 and 2 and make that position work. But Pelletier-Sharp not quite able to build the speed that she needs to make another move as they come through the dogleg. Pelletier-Sharp looking all over the track to try and find a way through. Both cars choose high. All that dirty air being thrown back at Pelletier-Sharp as she goes to the inside out of 1 and 2, looking for a run through 3 and 4. She's not been able to make the inside work all race and fails to do so again. All of the momentum in Wygen's favor right now as Wygen holds on to P5.
And we got a bit of a shot of the lead battle that is going on still within 2/10. These two just putting consistent pressure on each other, not giving them any room to breathe. But for now, there's no lap cars to traverse in the way. Hamilton is going to be eyeing up the next move, but is going to have to set it up early, or maybe we are now about halfway through this stint. We've got just over 50 laps to go. The fuel window opens in about 10, so we could see Hamilton maybe go for an early stop, take the risk on potentially getting trapped a lap down to just try and get some clear air from the 52. Which we've seen he has great pace. I think he currently has the fastest lap of the race, 19.001. If he can get onto fresh tyres in these call attempts and get into the 18s for a few laps, could clear the 52 on the undercut. But that's still a few laps away. He's going to want to try and make a move here. And we do have a couple of lap cars here. Alex Martin and Bobby Blowers racing for 8th and 9th. They are the next cars to be lapped. And the gap just 4/10 right now. Looking further back down the field, Lily Pelletier-Sharp has fallen off the back of Pacey Wygen, maybe catching a touch of damage in that contact, and now Frankie Wynn is within a couple tenths. And then, like we said, Bobby Blowers, Alex Martin ahead of our leaders, also in a pretty tight battle. It's going to be tough for Austin Farr and Hamilton after PUC to get through.
Small issues for Craig Forsyth as he almost went up into the wall on the exit of turns 1 and 2 a couple of laps ago. Was looking to be threatening for the lead of this race as Austin Farr and Hamilton Akabuzi started to go at it.
Contact! Contact between the two of... Oh, that was so close. Contact between Bobby Blowers and Alex Martin, and the leaders just about escape without contact, and that will be our caution. That'll be our second caution of the night, and that throws the strategy wide open. You see it there, just a little bit tight. Pinching from Alex Martin. Bobby Blowers runs a little bit high. The 92 spins around and takes heavy contact with the outside wall. His day probably done. The 34 getting away with it but falling a lap down. And crucially, Austin Farr and Hamilton Akabuzi are in one piece. Managed to avoid that incident. And we're expecting, I think, everyone down on pit road here because with just a little bit of fuel save, this could be the final stop of the race for all our drivers.
And one person who's going to be thanking their lucky stars for that one, Lilac Zia, the queen of the fuel save, really struggled in that stint to try and gain any position and really drop back on the race leader. So as she comes down pit lane, if there's anyone who's going to make this definitely their final stop, it's going to be Lilac Zia. I reckon she can go to the end quite easily here.
Running lap 93, coming to 94 as the cars come down pit road. That'll be 46 to go. Probably about 44 when we go green. That's mostly full push. I don't think Lilac has the fuel save edge here. I think this is going to be pretty routine for all the drivers that come in. But actually, we don't have that many in pit lane. There's a lot of cars electing to take the wave around, wanting to get back onto lead lap and hoping for another caution. But for our lead lap cars, they're all on pit road. They're all taking full service by the look of things. And who gets out first? It will be Austin Farr. And I think everyone holds position out of that pit cycle. And breathe.
Feels like it's been absolutely non-stop since lap 1 of this race. Punctuated a little bit by an early caution. I think we expected a few more incidents than we're seeing tonight. The field able to keep it relatively clean has kept the fight really, really interesting all the way. Phoenix putting on an absolute show right now, David.
I'll tell you this much, that last 50-odd lap stint we got, non-stop action, just about going back and forth, ping-pong table style there, with so many battles. Now, watching from abroad, getting the camera angles together, one thing I'm watching out for especially is a different level of aggression for drivers who are outside of the big four. Lily Pelletier sharp, fighting hard with a driver like Pacey Wygen, Frankie Wynn, Alex Miller, and Alex Martin until that incident were tight for a while there, no longer the case. Bobby Blowers, Martin Roberg, more of the same, and we saw Mo Perry earlier serving as a bit of a roadblock for everyone. Even if you're not named Austin Farr, Hamilton Akabuezi, or anyone up in front, those drivers who know they need points even more so to keep up their point standing, they're fighting for it right now, and they're giving us a good show all the same. 8 drivers are on the new set of rubber here, Alex Miller on the newest of which, and it looks like Bobby Blowers, Martin Roberg, Mo Perry, Blake Henderson, Lily Fraser on the older set of Firestones for now. Austin Farr set to lead us by, and with Austin in full control once again, you gotta wonder, can he continue playing the defense game well? Hamilton might have got shaken up from that very, very near miss, but I don't think that's gonna stop him for good here. Hamilton gonna be in second, Craig in third, and now we're on the cusp of lap 100. The tail end is here, and we might be able to go all the way without any trouble for these drivers with just a little bit more fuel saving. This is big, and this could be the most important stint if we don't get any further into perhaps a green-white checker. Let's do it all over again. Austin Farr finds himself in the mix as your race leader. Hamilton Akabuezi, they are in second, and Craig Forsyth third. Lilac Zier rounding out the top 4, and he's gonna find himself ahead. Austin Farr does, getting the jump here as we bring it back to the green flag once again. 44 laps to go, and Hamilton dives low already. They'll be side by side to 1 and 2, with Hamilton now taking a lunge down to the bottom side.
It was the perfect start for Hamilton Akabuezi on that one. Austin Farr really late to react to the green flag, but Akabuezi just preempting that one perfectly as Austin Farr back to the inside as they slide over, and Austin Farr is in the wall. Austin Farr in the wall, and a little bit of contact between him and Hamilton Akabuezi. Hamilton Akabuezi, though, coming out relatively unscathed as one of our drivers challenging for the championship lead is starting to plummet through the field. And that's given Craig Forsyth all the impetus he needs to try and make a challenge for the lead here. Lilac Zier, though, up to P3.
No meatball being shown to the 52, but that is a costly mistake. There's going to be some damage lingering on that car, and he's dropping through the field, now down to 7th place. Just going to have to try and stem the bleed and hope for another caution. But of course that caution would deal all of our wave around cars back into the running with a chance to make another pit stop. But it's Hamilton Akabuezi starting from P18, just forcing that mistake, forcing Austin to go too deep into 3 and 4, and from 18th on the grid now takes the lead of the race. But Craig Forsyth still has sights out of the championship and doesn't want to give up this race win. Lilac Zier also looking with Lily Pelletier shop still on the bubble, but on the outside fringes of it. These two could watch together. They are teammates, but they might not have enough for the 7 and the 27, who are starting to put a 3/4 gap on already. But of course, there's a little bit of fuel save needed and a little bit of tyre save. We'll have to see how this unfolds through the next 40 laps. Shouldn't be expecting too much in the way of traffic, as everyone's been put back on the same stretch of racetrack. Austin Farr now down to 10th position. That damage hurt, being very costly. We're expecting some of these cars who are passing to have to make another pit stop if there's no caution. So we get some of those spots back, but that is a huge points loss. That's 30 points lost from 1st to 10th. And for a driver who's making a charge at a championship, those 30 points could be all the difference.
Pelletier Sharp then challenging Lilac Zier for P3. Of course, Pelletier Sharp, our winner last week at Milwaukee, and the roles very much reversed. But as we saw, no team orders between the two Gear Cats cars. So Pelletier Sharp is going to do everything she can, despite the fact Lilac Zier is in the fight for this championship, to take that podium away from her teammates. She's trying to find a little bit of clean air in this fight at the front. Lily Pelletier Sharp not running up here all night, so not quite used to running in the dirty air of the top 4, as Craig Forsyth, who's had the advantage on the shorter runs so far here at Phoenix, is running out of time to try and make a move work, because it's as we get to the second half of the stint that his pace really starts to drop off. But even then, Akabuzi just kind of cruising for the moment, keeping this pack of 4 together, as Frankie Wynn just there in the background on the fringes of the top 4. So if anything happens, he's very much going to be in the prime seat to try and make something happen, as the gaps are closing.
There's a bit of a pact here for 7th place, but the race for the lead is just as tight right now. Lily Pelletier Sharp sniffing for a gap on the inside of Lilac there potentially.
Was that Hamilton Akabuzi in the wall a little bit on entry to turns 1 and 2 there? I think it was, and that puts Craig Forsyth to the 4. Swings up to the outside and gives plenty of dirty air as Lilac's here hunting for some clean out on the inside of Hamilton Akabuzi, not quite able to make it work, has left her vulnerable to attack to her teammate, as Pelletier Sharp gets all of that clean air on the outside and may just be able to make her way up into P3 here as she touches the wall on the outside, kills a little bit of momentum, but Lilac's here thinking better of it, just tucks in behind her teammate, and it's Forsyth first, Akabuzi second, and now Pelletier Sharp sat in P3 and already looking to challenge Akabuzi for that 2nd place.
Was like no contact with the wall for our number 7 car, just chose the high side through, I think it was 1 and 2. And I'm wondering if that was a bit of a strategic play. Maybe he saw he wasn't quite good on fuel, leading that field full push for the past 10 laps, and decided, give the 27 the point for a little bit, stay in the draft and get those extra couple laps back, and then try and make a charge to get back. But he isn't a 5 from the 18 now, yet he's getting backed up by Craig Forsyth, who is leading, I believe, his first laps of the night. And it's always a risky play, because if you let someone through, there's no guarantee you can ever get back ahead. And here comes Lily Pelletier Sharp to try and follow the line of Craig Forsyth. Hamilton forced to go on the offensive here to defend. But Craig is just putting on a good block, and yeah, Lily really putting pressure on. The 7 is going to be forced into making a rushed move that he probably doesn't want to make. And it might not be enough. He's just pinned on that low side. Craig Forsyth doing a great job of blocking off the higher lane, and the 18 is more than happy to just sit there for the time being. Once again, has to leave it open into 1 and 2.
We know Pelletier Sharp has a bit of a reputation for being very aggressive, and if these guys at the front aren't thinking about the fuel number, Pelletier Sharp definitely isn't. She is fighting to try and take the lead of this race, and she is going to take 2nd place of Hamilton Akabuzi, and that's going to check him up a little bit and leave him susceptible to attack from Lilac. It's Pelletier Sharp to the inside to take the race lead. Craig Forsyth not putting up much of a fight, and we're going to have a new race leader. Lily Pelletier Sharp, your winner from last week, now leads the Phoenix 225.
As that was happening, a touch of contact between Hamilton and Lilac. Nothing too dramatic, let's just maybe a little bit of a netcode tap, but this top 4 has been absolutely shaken up here. We're inside the final 25 laps here, and they've been able to make moves. It's a question of who has the fuel to go full push first, and who has the tire, and who has the bravery to try and make a move. Lilac tried to get a move on the inside. She was struggling with that line earlier on in this race, is going for it in the cold air. I also finding a bit more success, but Hamilton just able to carry the momentum that little bit better. Is going to clear by the look of things, but Lilac going to make another look. And we're seeing some of our cars that took the wave rounds being forced into the pit lane here to take some extra fuel on board. They'll fall back through the field. Austin Farr now back up to 9th, but is going to get lapped by this field, and I think before this race is over, has been very much hurt on pace with that contact with the wall. But up front, it's now a 5-car battle. This battling has led Frankie Wynn into the picture, and Pacey Wygen isn't too far off either. This could be an absolute barnstormer finish here as we clock in 21 laps to go in Phoenix. Who has the fuel, who has the tyre, and who has the bravery to try and make this move work and take the point of the race when it matters?
The race very much calmed down a little bit now that Lily Pelletier Sharp has taken the lead. The top 4 and now the top 5 being very disciplined and making sure they all share the racetrack evenly, as Lilac Zir still looking to make an inside line run on Hamilton Akabuzi. This could be vital for her championship. Perhaps Lily Pelletier Sharp going to the front to try and back up the field to give Zia some opportunities. But as we say, team orders between these two practically non-existent. But if there's anyone that we can count on to have that fuel save the earliest, perhaps we're looking at Lilac Zia to start going full push very, very soon as we come to 18 laps to go. Frankie Wynn just hanging on to the back of this pack so far, but no movement. The only car looking to threaten to make any moves work at the moment is that number 89 car of Lilac Zero, as Hamilton Akabuzi just backed off the back of Craig Forsyth a little bit, perhaps to try and find a little bit of draft, build some momentum on one of the alternate lines, as that's Austin Farr now going a lap down. Lily Pelletier Sharp to the outside, all 4 cars to the outside in fact, and Austin Farr not putting up a fight, just looking to try and finish this race at this point, and perhaps a late race caution, but that has separated the leaders a little bit. But it's going to give Craig Forsyth a bit of a run from far back on Pelletier Sharp, just to give him a chance to let that momentum build and perhaps try and look for a move. But as we've alluded to, these guys trying to hit a fuel number at the moment, and it's more going to be about who can get moving first, as Hamilton Akabuzi just looking to that outside for some of that clean air and opening a gap to Lilac Zir just a touch. As the two fighting for second, Hamilton Akabuzi to the inside. It's just going to let Pelletier Sharp run away a little bit, checking both of those drivers up. Lilac Zir carrying the momentum down to turns 3 and 4 now, but not able to make anything of it at the moment. Craig Forsyth closing the gap back up to the leader of Pelletier Sharp. Hamilton Akabuzi just choosing that high side this time by trying to cut back down to the inside, but not able to make it work in that dirty air. But look at the momentum these two are carrying relative to the leader right now. Hamilton Akabuzi in all of the dirty air of that 18 car, and Craig Forsyth sniffing on the gearbox, I think trying to look for a way through now.
There was some sportsmanship from Zach McBride pulling to pit lane as the leader's caught. He needed to make a stop anyway, but Ludwig's come out on track. He's got to let them through anyways, slightly into the wall, and this could be an opportunity for some of these cars to try and force a move. Craig Forsyth stuck on that high side into the middle lane where Zach McBride is forced to run. It looks like he's gonna be able to file in ahead of Hamilton, and they're gonna hold station a little bit. Lilac Zir really struggling out low side again. I think the tires starting to give up for the 89 car. Couldn't quite make it stick under the lapper. It's gonna fall a little bit of a gap. And here comes Frankie Wynn and Pacey Wygant looking to also make the move, but looks like it's literally the top 3 with a little bit of a breakaway through that traffic. Now 10 laps to go, and it looks like clean racetrack ahead of these cars. It's gonna be a duel in the desert to the checkered flag, and currently it's Lily Pelletier Sharp leading the way from Craig Forsyth and Hamilton Akabuzi.
For how long are we going to see this order maintained? Akabuzi carrying a little bit of momentum off turn 4 and threatening to challenge Craig Forsyth for P2 once again. The big question mark at the moment as Craig Forsyth goes to the inside to challenge for the lead of this race into turns 3 and 4. Pelletier Sharp not putting up much of a fight there, perhaps not hitting a fuel number, but maintaining that track position over Hamilton Akabuzi for now. Craig Forsyth giving it all of the draft she needs to hold on for it, but Akabuzi all of the grip on the inside line, making that work, but loses a touch of momentum just on the exit of those of turn 2. But the side-by-side fighting between Pelletier Sharp and Akabuzi is just letting Craig Forsyth start to pull away a little bit. A race winner already in this race as the caution flag comes out. Bruce Silver with a spin. I think that's turn 2. That's the fuel game out the window though. Everyone is very safe to the end with 7 laps to go. Look at that spin though from Bruce Silver. Was that contact with the wall?
Never mind the fuel save. Are we gonna get a restart here? ABN has a policy, if we're expecting a 1 lap shootout to the end, we will not go green. We'll end the race under caution. But if it's 2 laps, if we see the 1 to green on 138, we will go racing for 2 laps. And do these cars elect to pit They all fake it. No one wants to give up the track position this late. Now we just have to wait and see for race control. Do we get a chance to end this race under green, or has Craig Forsyth done enough to win this race and not quite take the championship lead, but put himself in a very strong position and well in the hunt heading towards Indianapolis? We are clicking off lap 135 here. We have 5 laps to go. Do we have time to have a shootout for this? And if we do, what madness are we going to see?
I think the only question is who out of this top 4, maybe even this top 5, are going to be aggressive enough to make the moves they need to try and win this race. Remember, Lilac Zia and to a certain extent Craig Forsyth have a championship to think about here. So if Pelletier Sharp and Hamilton Akabuzi start knocking on their doors to make up these positions and try and take the race win, is Craig Forsyth going to fight it too much, and is Lilac Zia just going to hang back and try and wait for the chaos to happen? Like, that's the big question. That's the only thing going through my mind right now. Is Lilac Zia in a position to push for this race win, or is she going to make what could be considered a smart decision and just hang back and wait for the chaos to unfold in front? Because Pelletier Sharp is in this lead fight, who, as I mentioned, is known to be quite an aggressive driver, and with no championship to play for by the teams at this point, is she going to be as aggressive as possible to try and score as many points as she can for Dogbox? Not Dogbox, Gear Cats.
I wouldn't call it that early. She's only 93 back, and with a result this strong, that's 93 back from Emily Howe of the Austin Farr, also not scoring much in this race. She's only down 50 from her teammate Lilac Zia, and it's 100 points available at the Arrowhead 500. And even here, she's closing the gap by a solid few points if she can hold on to second with Lilac in 4th. So it's all to play for, I think, for everyone, for Forsyth, for Pelletier Sharp, and for Lilac Zia. Hamilton goes on a part-time schedule, but wants this win just as badly. We've seen how it goes. And now, all focus goes to the pace car and the lights on the pace car. We are coming to the end of lap 37, the start of lap 138. 3 to go. If the lights go out, we'll have a 2-lap dash to the finish. And it will be an absolutely incredible race.
No instruction from race control as of yet.
There it is.
There is. Pace car lights are out. So we are going to have a 2-lap shootout at the Phoenix 225 for the lead of this race. Craig Forsyth, Lily Pelletier Sharp, Hamilton Akabuzi, Lilac Zia, very much your protagonists so far this race. But Frankie Wynn, Pacey Wygen, and Alex Miller sniffing on the fringes of those guys to maybe try and make something happen if chaos happens ahead. The pace car pulls in as we begin the slow trundle down to the Geico restart zone.
Remember, race start on green. Every driver has to react to it. And we will have 2 miles of racing to decide the Phoenix 225. Here we come. Through turns 3 and 4, Craig Forsyth leads the way. Lily Pelletier Sharp behind. And there's the signal from race control. We are back under racing and Lily Pelletier Sharp already looking low. But it looks like Hamilton might have the best run. Gonna look to the outside, Lily looks to the inside. Craig Forsyth defending the middle. Lily going for the dive on the inside. Hamilton looking for the crossover. And it's going to be the 18 car to the lead, but Forsyth has a run around the outside. Coming through turns 3 and 4 for the penultimate time. Lily Pelletier Sharp will clear. White flag here in Phoenix, and there's contact!
Pelletier Sharp and Forsyth off the road, collecting so many cars in the background. That puts Hamilton Akabuzi out to the front, and he's going to win this race. Pacey Wygen up to second. What have we just witnessed?
And that has huge championship implications. Lilac Zia crosses the line 5th. Might just hold off for a little bit. Pelletier Sharp down to 7th. Craig Forsyth not able to complete the final lap. Will be scored in 8th position. And that's every single championship contender taking a fall at some stage in this race. It's the number 7 of Hamilton Akabuzi after starting 18th on the grid. And you just see it. I think the 18 just comes down a little bit, just tries to clear. The nose is still in from the 27, and on the final lap, you cannot expect that car to back out. We knew it was going to be frantic. We knew it was going to be.
We knew we were going to see aggression from Lemming. We always do.
We'd see it from everyone. You can't afford not to in this situation. But the top two at the white flag come together in the dog leg, and it's the number 7 of Hamilton Akabrese who takes the benefit and wins the race by just over a second from Pacey Wygant and Frankie Wynn.
It's Austin Fast squeezing through on turns 1 and 2. That I have no words to what we just witnessed. That was pure chaos at the end there.
I mean, I'm out of breath, honestly. That was a frantic race with the most frantic of finishes. The 2-lap shootout there. Of course, we don't have green-white checkers in Champ Car. These machines don't run that way, but if it falls right, it happens naturally. And after 140 laps of wall-to-wall racing, it's Hamilton who keeps it clean and takes his 3rd victory from just 6 starts this season. An incredible record for the Team I5G driver, starting off the month of May the way that they all want to here. And the rest of the podium, of course, will be Pacey Wygant and Frankie Wynn. We'll try and get words with all 3 of those coming up. But for now, the race results. Take it away, David.
Oh, what a finish that was. Wrecking at the very end, Hamilton Akabrese gives way to win number 3 for the 7 team. Pacey Wygant going to be 2nd, and Frankie Wynn then in 3rd. Alex Miller going to come home in 4th from 16th on the grid, and Lilac Zia recovers for 5th. Austin Farr looking to be down to the dumps, going 1 lap down as recent as just about 10 laps ago, up to 6th when all is said and done. Lily Peltier Sharp 7th, Craig Forsyth 8th, and Mo Perry 9th. Blake Henderson rounding out the top 10. Above all else, Henderson making a nice comeback at the end of the day.
It'll be Bobby Blowers and Martin Robert finishing 2 laps down in 11th and 12th. Bruce Silver having that spin that brought out that final caution, gonna finish 3 laps down in 13th. Lily Fraser in 14th. Dad McBride, P15 with Carmen Sienna, Alex Martin, Josh Tucker, and Sophie Connell getting caught up in incidents throughout that race and finishing way down the order. I think provisionally, obviously, there's a lot to look out for, but I think provisionally that will be potentially Austin Farr moving into the championship lead if Emily Howe hasn't managed to cling on by a couple of points. But Lilac Zia is still on the heels. Lily Peltier Sharp's ambitions might just be over with that final lap incident, and Craig Forsyth taking a bid. It might be in a must-win situation going into Indianapolis.
And won't that just make it one of the most intense 500-kilometer races at the rectangle you've ever seen in your life?
Well, I'll tell you this much. Now we got 1 race ahead of us. Almost the entire season, we've gone through it, and we've got, of course, our podium drivers to speak to here. Frankie Wynn doesn't look to be with us in the interview room right now. Can we get a word from our 16? It looks like Frankie currently going to be muted and deafened, so not quite a variable. How about we go instead and first get our race winner and go top down just to make sure we get everyone in the right order. And what a win it is. Number 3 for Hamilton Akabrese. And tonight, 12 laps led. Wasn't quite dominant. It was an up and down day for all the leading contenders. But tonight, escaping that final wreck is what made all the difference. And you come home as a winner here in the Phoenix 225.
Yeah, I had a fun time working through the field from the back. So that was fun. Josh was coming too, but he got killed by netcode, seemed like. So, but I mean, at the end there, like I kind of screwed myself over with auto fuel and underfueled myself a bit. So I kind of threw it away in the first place from that point. But it's so hard to get anything to work as the 3rd car in line, just because like I can get to the inside of these guys, but I you can't really do anything when you know the car in the lead. It's gonna give you dirty air. Guy on the top's got clean and the momentum, so it's difficult from that point. But yeah, it was fun racing with everybody for sure. Like whole race racing with everybody, that was a lot of fun. Strategy worked out. Austin kind of moved himself out of the way, so yeah, fun racing.
And it looks like tonight, in the shuffle of the battle, 4 drivers really breaking away and fighting till the very end. What was it like? Because it seems like today it all came down to a lot of defensive racing. Nobody really the top driver overall. We saw some leading stints from you, Austin, Craig, Lily, and the like. And it wasn't really going to be all about that one and done for a driver. Working with so many up in front in that leading battle, was there any different challenges compared to what you've seen before?
A lot of the same that I'm used to here. Just very difficult to make the bottom work if you don't have clean air. Just yeah, that's the main difficulty here. Top just gets so much momentum. Um, yeah, it was all good for sure. When we got like battling, well, one thing I'll say is the air temp was really hot. So basically, unless you're in the lead, you're running orange on oil and water temp, and if you were trying to get past somebody for too long, you'd almost overheat and blow up. So you kind of had a limited amount of time to try and get by somebody before you blew up. So that was very interesting to deal with, and it also like it makes it that much harder to pass the leader because as soon as you get to those higher temps, the higher you go, you're losing power. So leader doesn't really have to worry about it, and so you're kind of just down on power, which made it very interesting, especially on like the long run behind Austin. I could really tell because he'd pull away from me on the straights even in the draft. But yeah, that was fun for sure. Phoenix usually provides some solid racing. Just yeah, gotta really work for it to pass, especially if you're in third for sure. Got lucky at the end too, so I'll take that.
And escaping the most dangerous moment of this entire race here, one event left. And it's been a part-time campaign, so we've seen victories, we've seen strong race results so far, and a third win already here. The Brickyard, that's what's up next, and that's what's up last for the season. It's going to be the most important race of everyone's campaign, of course, for those fighting full-time, and I'm sure I5G, an entire team would love another win at the fabled Indianapolis Motor Speedway. How are you feeling about your prospects going in to the final race of Season 5?
I mean, it's Indy, I've honestly not done many laps there before this year, so I've probably done less than 15 races at Indy, I'd say. So been putting in a ton of work this year for the 500 and stuff coming up, and we'll try to make time for it. I should be there. Got like a lot of 500s coming up, so but yeah, obviously Indy, I'll have a ton of laps there, so I'll feel pretty good about it for sure.
Looking to have a little more confidence for our final race of the campaign here. Hamilton, checkered flag in Phoenix. If any more shout outs you'd like to give, make sure to let us know. The floor is yours.
Shout out to I5G. Shout out to Josh. Josh, Craig, Lily. We were all hanging out in chat talking. I kind of just got out of there after the wreck. Didn't really want to have to hear that, but yeah. Shout out to those guys. We were hanging out. Twitch.tv/Brendan Hyperstar. That's all I got.
And there we have it. Checkered flag tonight for the number 17 Hamilton. We thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And with Hamilton on the move, second place today, first time podium sitter in the 00, Pacey Wygant, standing by right now.
Casey, it is Olivia from the ABN booth. You got a copy?
Yeah.
6th to 2nd in 1 mile of racing. How about that? Taught us through your race. Had a very solid, very consistent run, but it just all came to you at the end. And I mean, what a result!
Hey, yeah, you said it best. What a result. I don't really know what I'm supposed to say in this interview. I don't really know how the car was supposed to handle. I've never driven these cars. This Long Beach was my first time ever in the cars. So yeah, I mean, I was just avoiding a wreck. I was just hoping to keep the car clean. I know the past couple of races I haven't really been able to. Still trying to learn these cars. Um, but yeah, I mean, P2, that's pretty good.
Well, it seems like you're learning quickly. I mean, you can say it's luck on that final lap, but to have yourself in the conversation at the tail end of that group to begin with is a hell of an achievement. And I mean, what, your fourth start here is like the transition from stock cars into champ car machinery is going very well. What would you describe as like the main difficulties is in getting used to a car with so much downforce and so much power coming through tracks like this?
Uh, I must say, the biggest difficulty isn't necessarily that difficult. It's just trying to get my brain to comprehend that I'm at Phoenix and I'm not hitting the brakes. I'm actually full throttle. Um, that that was such a mental challenge to try to get through. It, these cars just it's almost like driving a wing sprint car versus a wingless sprint car. Like there's so much more downforce in the wing sprint car than there is the wingless, and that's essentially what you can kind of track between the NASCAR and then this car. Um, Kyle Larson was an absolute liar. They do not drive anything alike. Don't ever listen to him. He lied. They are far different, and I don't know. I have fun in both of them. Obviously, I'm better in the NASCAR, but we're getting somewhere with the IndyCar.
Yeah, definitely making some great moves. And if there's any time to start getting a feel for it and start hitting that stride, it's now. Next week, qualifying for the Arrowhead 500, the week after going into the 500-kilometer race. You're looking forward to that one. You're planning on showing up. And how do you think you're going to fare at the Brickyard compared to these short ovals we've been seeing over the past few weeks?
Um, I couldn't tell you. I mean, it's the Brickyard. I'll be there, but I'm not expecting like a super good result or anything. From everything I've heard, the car's just really understeery there, and it takes a lot of different like weight jackers, and I don't even know what the other things do. um, but it takes adjusting on those, and I'm not skilled enough in this car yet to be able to do that. So I'm gonna give it a shot, but I'm not really expecting much.
Well, it's great to hear from you. It's a great result to hang your hat on for your rookie season in the Champ Car World Series. Congratulations on P2 here tonight at Phoenix. If there's anyone want to shout out, the floor is yours. Take the mic and congratulations.
Shout out to y'all for broadcasting every week. Shout out to my team PBR Racing. I think that's about it and everybody who's helped me attempt to figure out these cars, even though it kind of goes in one ear and throughout right out the other. But we're trying.
Well, fantastic results. Thank you for joining us, and once again, congratulations.
Thank you.
And with the 0-0 on the way, Pacey with a first career podium, Frankie Wynn, we mentioned bottom step in Long Beach, once again returning to the podium, this time a third place in Phoenix, now the 16, standing by.
Frankie Wynn, welcome back to the ABN broadcast booth after a fantastic third place finish at Phoenix. Give us the long and short of that one.
Well, it's good to be back on the podium here. First oval podium as well. Yeah, the short and long of it. The short of it is I met my goal of finishing on the podium. The long of it is it was an interesting journey to get there. Of course, I had a pretty good qualifying. I believe I qualified P4. And well, the first part of the race, you gotta say, it was a complete brain fart on my part because, first of all, I miscalculated how much fuel I had to save to make it a 2-stopper if we were going to go green all the way. So I was in map 1 for longer than I should have in the first stint there. And then I lucked out with the, I believe it was the first caution of the race. But unfortunately, during my pit stop, I had forgotten to change tires. So I was sat in the pits for much longer than I planned, and I ended up shuffling to the back of the field. So the rest of the race was just me trying to catch back up through the field, make my way up back towards the front, and I got lucky with a late caution, and that late caution pretty much put me on the same strategy as the rest of the front runners. So from there, I was fighting amongst the top 5 up until the end when that incident at the end with 2 laps to go, I believe, basically gifted me the podium. But it was an interesting way to get to that podium.
Yeah, you were threatening to challenge for that win, especially in that final stint or so there after the second to last race restart. So was the plan to try and get up to those top 4 and try and make something happen, or were you always thinking about hanging back and waiting for something to happen in front of you? Because you were running up in 5th place for a solid 40 laps at the end of the race there.
It's a bit of both, a bit of column A, column B. I did plan on fuel saving a bit more during the first part of that last stint, so I could put it back into map 1 at the end and get a bit of extra push. But I guess I must have not used my in-car tools to their full potential, because at the end of the stint, when I was in map 1, it seemed like I was experiencing a bit of tightness in the car. I must have burned off more right front than I expected. So near the end, I was dropping off from the top 4 a bit, and so I was pretty much trying to hang on to it at the end, hang on to P5 at the end, right up until the incident happened. So I was fortunate in that regard that I was still able to keep up with them, get in their slipstream.
Well, we've got to talk about the incident because, of course, you benefited massively off it at the end of the race. There, going from P5 to make this return to the podium. So, what was going through your head when you saw the contact between Pelletier Sharp and Forsyth in front, and how did you manage to get through that?
Well, the contact was very unexpected, but it did happen at, I suppose, the most expected spot on track here at Phoenix at the dog leg there. Um, so I saw the contact happen. My first instinct, as always, is to let off the throttle. So I did, and just slowing down that bit allowed me to get a sense of the situation as it was happening, to see where cars were ending up. So I believe one of the cars did end up sliding in front of the car that was immediately in front of me. And because I slowed down a bit, I had enough reaction time to steer my car away from the danger. It did, however, cost me P2, because I believe it was Pacey Widgeon. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing their name, but they got around on my top side there, and I've always found that the top side is much easier to make a move stick than the bottom side. So I tried to defend on the bottom as best as I could in the final lap there, but they just had the much better run off the corner. So I'm still happy with the podium, but yeah, if you see something like that happening in front of you, even though it may look like I'm driving calmly and collectively, it's always, my eyes always turn into dinner plates when I see something like that happen in front of me.
Now, of course, it's always a scary moment when you have cars wrecking in front of you. It's picking through something like that. It can definitely be quite tricky, but of course, you finished on the podiums, so you get the airwaves to thank anyone, shout anyone out that you want to. So Take it away, Frankie.
No, absolutely. First of all, let me thank ABN Esports once again for putting this all together. Top-notch job you guys do. Second of all, let me shout out everyone who's watching on my Twitch channel, everyone in chat. Thank you all so much for sticking by me and watching me do my thing. You guys give me all the energy to do this, to do what I do in iRacing and in various other stuff that I do on stream. So this podium's for you guys. Thirdly, let me thank my sim racing team, Mirai United VRT. My the sim racing team, VTuber sim racing team. I appreciate their support. I joined them relatively recently. I wasn't a founding member, but I did join them more recently than other members. So it's always it's nice to have a place to call home, so to speak, having a few like-minded friends in a team to do special events together to represent in leagues and all that. And fourthly, let me thank my sponsor, Stoneforge Technology. Custom built PCs, pre-built PCs, PC parts, PC accessories. I want to thank them for sponsoring me. I recently partnered with them a few weeks ago. Hopefully, in a short while, I'll get their actual sponsor logo on my car. Hopefully, in time for the big event later in a few weeks, the Arrowhead 500. I'm very looking forward to that. It's gonna be. I am very excited to take part in that. So, yeah.
Well, congratulations once again on the P3. Go enjoy those podium celebrations.
Thank you.
And just like that, we've gotten a word from all of our top three. Frankie Wynn, third today. Pacey Wygen in second. And Hamilton Akabuezi, the top of the board with 12 laps led. Maybe not as dominant as we expect, but you can always put Hamilton in for a good race. And tonight, the number 7 had just that and then some. That concludes tonight's race. We got one more. Now, we do have 2 events left. Qualifying is going to be on its own separate date next Wednesday, and hopefully we'll have you here on ABN Esports for that. But the Arrowhead 500, that's what's left. Double points on display. It is the take-all event for every driver. There's still a very tight points race going in because 100 points are on the table, and we still got quite a few drivers in that bracket here. So before we move on to the Brickyard, do we have any final thoughts from Phoenix?
I think
Yeah,
I'm just really impressed with the race that was put on there. To be honest with you, sorry, Liv, to cut in. I think
No, you
the-
first. You first.
to a certain extent, I wasn't really expecting the track to put on such a show because it's one of those with really low banking, and it was a night race as well. So we saw in I think it was Las Vegas. It was Las Vegas. Sometimes it can generate a bit of a race where it's just hold the inside and don't give up the inside ever. And perhaps I expected a little bit of that tonight. But Phoenix showed me that I shouldn't expect such negative things from a track of this caliber. And I was really entertained end to end. The racing was fantastic up and down the field. We had those little sprinklings of chaos to keep things nice and close together. We were treated again to another battle between Hamilton Akabuezi and Austin Farr, which is always fantastic to see. But despite all that, the eyes are firmly turned towards the Arrowhead 500. I think it's going to be a really interesting sort of qualifying format that I personally have never seen before. So to watch those cars go out on track and set their qualifying times in a nice big event a week before the main event, it's just super interesting. And as I say, very exciting. People are going to have those chances to make those runs and qualify as far up the field as they can for the big one the week after, with 9 of the drivers still in with a mathematical chance of taking the championship. And of course, that Austin Farr is our new championship leader, only 3 points ahead of Emily Howe, and Lilac Zia chasing close enough behind those two that she could very easily challenge for something in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, of course, the qualifying format, at least provisionally, for next Wednesday, it'll be a it'll be a group qualifying session, but cars will be sent out one at a time. We'll be following on board with each of them to set a 4-lap average to try and get their fastest run across 10 miles around the Brickyard. From there, that will set the main spots on the grid, but the top 9 will get a second chance to run, a second opportunity following that session to go for pole position. Of course, pole does award points. I did get a point for pole position. I'm not sure if that point will be doubled for the Arrowhead 500, or if we maybe get a 9-to-1 system, potentially. But yeah, it need to be crucial for that. And then Wednesday, May 15th, the Arrowhead 500. If there's still some spots on the grid, there'll be one more qualifying session to try and fill it up to a maximum of 33. And then we go racing for 500 kilometers around the Brickyard. Austin Farley's only held by 3 points, while it's there 33 behind. Craig Forsyth down 52. Alexander Miller down 70. Lily Pale-Shoff, Justin Ryan down 79. Hamilton Akaboise down 82, maybe just out of the championship hunt in reality, but that is an amazing result for only having 6 starts this season. And I think it might just be a 3-horse race barring some disasters, but we've seen Austin Farr can be forced into a mistake, and a track like the Brickyard, it's so much faster than even Phoenix. If you catch the wall for a bit of understeer, that's probably race ending. So it's all to play for. It's the Brickyard. It's the 500. It's everything we love about this Champ Car machinery. It's the crown jewel of the season, and I think there's gonna be a lot of drivers going in there with a lot of preparation, a lot of hard work, because maybe even more than the championship, they want that race on their record. It's just an incredible thing to put down, and it's going to be an absolute show for everyone. So hopefully we'll be live next week for the Out of 500 qualifying, and then May 15th, put it in your calendar now, because it's going to be one hell of a race, 500 kilometers around the Brickyard, and I cannot wait to see these incredible drivers go at it. Any final thoughts, David?
Well, when we talk about the point standings, and we have mentioned how many points are on the table, technically speaking, quite a lot of drivers that are really in the bubble of mathematical possibility. However, I think right now it comes down to 4 drivers you want to keep your eyes peeled on. Austin Farr, Emily Howe will come in at a gap of only 3 points. Then Lilac Zier, who is now 33 out, and Craig Forsyth is still 52 away. Lilac Zier has done it all without a race victory. Craig Forsyth has done so with 1. All the while, Austin Farr leads the series with 4 wins, and it's going to be Emily Howe with 3. So coming in, we got still 4 realistic title contenders for our final race. And I'll tell you this much, if you're watching us right now on ABN, make sure to follow and, of course, keep your eyes peeled on our social media pages so we can update you on when qualifying is. It's going to be next Wednesday, and we hope to be live to present you all the action in what is the most important qualifying session of the season. We thank you, of course, for coming along and watching our coverage of the Phoenix 225 tonight. I've been David Kreutz, joined alongside Olivia Hayward and Taylor Mills. We'll be back 2 more events this season, 1 more race, and the championship is due to be decided in 2 Wednesdays' time in the Arrowhead 500. Thank you all for your continued support. If you enjoyed the action, make sure to leave a follow on the ABN Esports Twitch channel and check out our video on demand service. This will be a video published on YouTube in the next 24 to 48. Thank you all for watching once again. This has been an exclusive presentation of the ABN Champ Car World Series. We hope you have a fantastic night.